Coming up in today's video.
God. Right, here you have it, a full scaffold. Billy Joel, she's always a woman. Head. Am I in shot? Well, it's getting increasingly hard to film this stuff, so I've got the camera on a platform over there. I hope you can hear me. So this here, this wall, is all fine, but the thing is, as you know, I have to notch the rafters onto stuff, and there's no way I'm going to notch onto stuff like this. I mean, they're pretty well set in, but not well enough. You know, a bit of movement or whatever is easily going to dislodge these over time. So I need to sit something on top. I believe the word for it is a wall plate.
Right, big camera fail here. I had the stop start button back to front, so I actually turned the camera off at this point, but I've paused it. These here are the big bits of stone which were sort of donated by some brickies who dug them up next door when they were putting a septic tank in. So I'm going to use those as kind of like wall plates.
Decided to film this. Next little problem is getting these up. I mean, they're not crazy heavy, but they're heavy enough. Obviously I could have set up a winch or whatever, but there's a lot of overhead in that. Okay. Abysmal health and safety there, I know. Right, quick update. God, it's hot. That's not the update. The update is I've cut this is the first rafter which sits on the very front of the barn, sort of like outside, if you like. The only thing is though, although I've sprayed that is not going to be exposed because I'm going to clad it with oak. Now the oak I'm going to clad it with is here. This is what I attempted to lift with a hoist at one point as an alternative. This is still incredibly heavy. What I'm planning to now do is cut this to size, which will take a bit of weight out of it, and I'm going to try and sort of slice it down the middle to make it half the thickness it currently is.
So this was basically like the worst job I think I've ever done on the whole site. It was horrific. So I cut it with a circular saw, but that hasn't got the plunge depth, even though I've done it from both sides. There's like a gap in the middle of like a good inch, I would say. So basically I had to try and work my way down and cut it out. I started with a reciprocating saw. I also went into a hand saw. I think at one point the two didn't even line up, so I was probably creating like an entirely original cut. But it was hot. It was uncomfortable, and you'll get to a point soon where you can see I'm so weary I'm basically sitting down while sawing. It was horrendous.
Yeah, I did. That was awful. Never again. God. Bloody hell. Before you go in the comments, oh Alex, why didn't you get the sawmill? I know. Truth is, I didn't think it would weigh as much as it did. That's why I've cut it in half. I mean, I've got twice the use out of it, but that's why I didn't have it cut like this in the first place, which I so easily could have done. That's why. Good.
Right, it's shout out time on the map, and it's old friend of the channel, Damien Penny, who I thought had been on the map before. Turns out he hasn't, and he is in Moraga, or is it Moraga in California? Sounds nice. Damien will remember such classics as the concrete fiasco and the arch, which you can look at, but not before you finish this episode.
So what I've done is I've now fit the bit of pine, the actual rafter. Now I'm going to face it off with a bit of oak, which also could serve as a rafter, but it's more for aesthetics, really. Oh dear God, what a day. I'm going to put a right shift in today. It's 4:30 now. I wouldn't mind getting those lines a teeny bit better, but that's nice because that's fitted and that is proper exterior finish. I mean, that's going to be there. That's what you will see. That's, I think I've covered it, but that's a piece of oak, not a bit of pine.
Well, the reason why you've got this lovely sunny weather here is I accidentally left my camera on. It's in my toolbox. This is me packing up here. But the reason why I've left this in is I didn't know it at the time, but this would be the last work I would do on the site for 4 months because I decided to take a bit of a break. I just wanted a bit of a change of scenery. And I wanted to work on my outdoor kitchen. I called it the Mega Q. So you can go on the channel and the videos are up.
Well, we're back. This is it. I don't think I've been down here for working since about April. Is it May? I'll have to check. So rather than use the summer for nice productive work, I built the Mega Q. It's my outdoor kitchen. If you've not seen the video, please check it out after this. It's good. I'm quite proud of it, but it was a nice sort of short project and I actually completed it, unlike this. I've not had a lot of success with making dry working areas, but the tarp is back. I've got to stop going on about tarps. But do you know what? I'm going to give it a third go. I'm going to tell you now that the aim is to finish this thing by spring. Spring 2025, you can hold me to that. So this bit of oak, you may remember. I keep saying you may remember. Of course, the footage is just going to continue immediately. But anyway, as I have to remind myself, was a big piece of oak that I split in half down the middle with much effort. So there's the other half. It's just basically been sitting there. I've kept it off the ground. One of the reasons for putting the tarp up, as well as obviously having a dry working area, is quite specifically I've got this sort of woodworking area, so though I'll be out in the wet, I want to be able to keep my tools dry now. These were bought from the Mega Q project, well actually with this project in mind as well. So I've got, I think you call it a bench saw. Is that a bench saw? Anyway, trust me, there's a big circular blade in there. And I've got a decent one of these. Again, I forget the name. Right, I'm at midday. still not attached to anything. Right, so basically my wonky building skills are sort of coming back to haunt me a little bit, but nothing terminal, I don't think. Okay, I've figured it out. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's wonky, but the offending item is the mid-purlin. Basically, it's very hard to see, to be honest with you. So it's attached to that truss at the back, it's attached to the truss in the middle, and then it sits on the stonework, which is fine. But like the other one, unfortunately, it dips downwards as it comes towards us. That's it. So it's lower at the front than it is at the back. I could attempt to reset it. I'm going to go and have a look now and work out what I want to do. There's lots of options here. Right, I'm up here. So to move this, I will have to get these 2 screws out. And to quote Blackadder goes forth, they're as likely to move as a Frenchman living next door to a brothel. Is that acceptable? Am I going to get cancelled for that? That's English humour, that's just a joke. Anyone French? I love the French, and I love France. Just a joke, just a joke. No, they did not come out. I mean, the chance, they never come out. The chance of getting 1 out was low. The chance of getting 2 out, highly improbable. Right, the latest weird thing, due to wonky design and or building, is if you ever look at the bit of oak to the left, look at the height it ends and look at the distance from the stonework. If you draw a straight line all the way across and cut them so that they're basically at the same height, then what it means is the bottom of the oak will be sitting a lot nearer the stonework, which might look awkward. So in the end, if you look at it now, I went for somewhere in between the two. So it is lower to the right and a little bit closer in. Look, nice working space. When the sun comes in, it's really pleasant. I really need to get cracking because clearly winter is coming, but as of today, very nice. Not a fun job. It took me about 2.5 hours, but basically I've had to sand all the writing off these and stain them to a colour resembling oak. Those are the rafters, by the way. So that's the second lot I've had to do like that. Why is this sticking?
So this was actually the first time I've used this saw. Can you see that I'm cutting like 45 degrees across, but I've had to angle the saw. For some reason it was sticking at this point. It eased up later on. And you know what, in terms of measuring this angle, good old trial and error.
I should probably use this. Right, so I think I've got something here. I think one way or another this is going to be right, I think. Right, I'm going to go and test it up there. Okay, we're not bad. We're not bad at all. I'm going to lift the camera over. So basically, it is kind of working. It's touching at the bottom, but not the top. So I've just cut the angle a bit wrong. It's just a bit too acute. Bye-bye, geesies. God, we should come in with you. Somewhere hotter. Okay, so this is the third attempt at this. Complete trial and error. And it still needs a teeny bit more, but just with a little bit more taken off it, that is forming the angle I want. So basically, there's the rafters. Let's go back a bit. Here's a rafter, and this projects up at a diagonal, which is great. So that wasn't quite as painful as I thought it was going to be. Oops, slight ruler meets circular saw accident there. Been looking for that. Don't think it's salvageable. Right, stood back a bit. So there's the top, and as you work this one down, it's sitting on there very nicely, but it's short here. So if I trim 30 centimetres off each time, it's too much. Okay, so I've shifted that off to the right. So this gap is too wide. It's more like 50 centimetres. But it shows you what we're trying to do. It's not bad. So I basically trimmed too much off for this one to be correct.
Right, we haven't had the drone up for a little bit. A nice bit of eye-watering health and safety. And here you can see I've got a noggin in my hand. So I'm just trying to fit those one by one. Once I've got a few of these in, obviously there's more stuff to hold on to.
Well, this is looking grand, I must say. Really good. Just got that last noggin to put in up there, and this side is done. Another delivery of wood. These are the final lot, which are actually slightly longer because on the back of the barn, that's this bit up here, it is actually slightly longer. I need a bit more of a drop. So I think these are 4 metres odd. So I need to stain these up. I hate this. I hate this job so much. It's the last time I'm doing it, I think. Okay, well I only did 6 of these, but it was a job that was made all the easier by not having to sand the label off, which is good. Oh, I just noticed that's been dripping. I'll sort that out in a second. And also the purchase of, I won't wear them for you, black latex gloves. Right, so this nearest one is broadly set in where I want it. That's good. Can I just show you? I'll maybe do it from above. That's sitting in beautifully. Okay, so this is the midsection. Now, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the thing to sit on there. Now, that's currently too high. But you can see what I do is I can basically adjust the height of these screws here, or screw in this case because it's dipping down. That bit's always going to be the same at the top. And again, I want this to sit below the line. Now this one currently is too high. You can see that the line is taut on that. Let me just make a quick adjustment. Okay, so I have adjusted that now. It's actually sitting just a shade below the string line. However, so is that one. So what I can do is I can just push everything up a teeny. Okay, so what I've done is it's actually the end of this line. Just made a little mark there with 2 next to it. And we've only got to do this 5 more times, so I can repeat this. Right, so that last one went in perfectly. Perhaps sitting out a tiny bit. It's at a great height, so just absolutely spot on the string line. Okay, and here we have the template to just show you how I'm doing this. You've got the line of number 6, line up there, and this screw here gives me the depth. Okay, it's 10 past 3, but that's 10 past 4 in old man's money. I'm tired. So I've basically got today where I hoped to get by close of play yesterday, but that's alright. No problem with that. So yeah, looking good. One thing that is really good is if you come around you can see this yourself. I'm telling you, this roof is straight. Now I've seen some horror shows elsewhere from allegedly professional builders, but I'm telling you that is straight. Right, I think we're into rafters finale. It's Sunday the 3rd of November. So all I've got to do now is this side here. I did yesterday finish off these extra sections off the valleys up there. I have to say, as you stand in it, it's not doing it justice in the camera, but you're really sort of getting a sense of the height, of course, of the internal roof. It's lovely.
Next up, it's Zenter from Vila Real de Santo Antonio in Portugal, only just because it's on the Spanish border. He says, I do like your pin mat. Well, that's good, because you're on it. Thanks for watching, Zenter.
Right, big scaffolding day today. A very nice day for it, if you like frosty weather. So probably quite a bad day for it. One thing I had to do is clear out this side, all the masonry and stone and wood. I've been in there for a while. Making progress down here. Of course, they've got on a very loud builder's radio, blasting music across the neighbourhood. That'll be another complaint coming from the neighbours. Right, here you have it. A full scaffold. First thing that's going is that bloody sign. I did ask them if they'd not put it on there, but they said their boss would kill them if they didn't. No one's going to see it because no one comes down here. It has been suggested by my friend Pete that I should put an Alex Build sign up instead. Right, let's go on up. This is great. Just being able to wander around. So I'm about to venture where I've never ventured before, which is up here around the back, overlooking the woods. I could chuck water bombs and eggs passers-by. Would have been expensive, but God, it would have made life a lot bloody easier, I have to say, if I had this all along. Least of all, because if I wanted to, I could actually have put the saws up here on the scaffold, just cut the stuff rather than going up and down all the time. Hey ho. The problem is though, I haven't finished it. So, right treat. Yeah, I've still got to do this section, and I'm going to do this today. I mean, I'm so tempted to lash on with the roof because, jobs are always fun when you first start them. As well as at this height, I've got these upper platforms so that when I come to work on the ridge or whatever, that will help. So this is officially the highest I have ever been on the build so far. This up here is where I once got my drone stuck in a tree. I've got a video on my channel, dig it out. I'll put a little link in. Drone recovery. I honestly think it's actually the best video I've ever done. Not that it's proven particularly popular. Right, stop messing around, get on with it. There you go. Rafters are in. Look at that line. What a pro! Right, I've reached a bit of a watershed moment. This is a Sunday morning. I've come out. We had gales yesterday, so I couldn't work. And basically, not for the first time, I've slightly jumped the gun trying to move on to a job. So I'm thinking to myself, batons, nail gun, which I've hired. And I'm almost rushing things now because I've got the nail gun on hire, just like when I had the chain mortiser on hire. I just haven't finished loads of stuff. So we realised last week, as well as having not put some rafters in, that I hadn't sealed up these areas here. And the fact is, this front thing and the stonework, it's got to be done properly. It's got to be sealed in. I can't do it after I've done the battens and the felt. Otherwise, you know, like wasps and all sorts of vermin are just going to get in. Now I've also got at the bottom where these rafters come, of course when I lay this there's going to be a big gap there. And I was thinking, oh, well, I thought of that. I thought, well, I'll just do it from the inside. I'll retrofit it. But again, not an ideal way of doing it because I would far rather have a baton sitting along that. And then I've just got this whole thing at the end where rafters meet trusses. So I'm probably going to clad this area here, sort of front facing outwards in oak, I think. But what about all this? So I'm talking about, you know, this gap here and that going over there. You know, the same at this end. How do I stitch all this in? And also, it's been advised, and rightly so, that I've not got enough support underneath these purlins. I mean, they're screwed in well. Really want some big bits of oak underneath that. Another thing is going to be almost impossible to retrofit. So the conclusion of this is, I think, is return the nail gun to the hire shop, buy one, because I'm going to need it later. Oh, and another thing is that I haven't put a ridge board in. So there's loads to be done. So basically I'm going to morder la boule, bite the bullet, and I'm just going to do all these jobs now, probably over the next 2 weekends. Right, it's a week later, and I'm pleased to say we're in a far more productive mood and mode. So I've got most of the levels working, just planed a little bit off these lower rafters here. And this very wonky line, which I'm going to finish right now, it's just basically, they're not noggins as such, they kind of look like it. They're actually just to sort of ultimately seal that space in, otherwise I'm going to have stuff basically flying in there like birds and wasps and whatnot. Another thing which I haven't really had much of a plan about for a while is the ridge board. So I think I know what I'm doing with that. Anyway. Hola! Right. Is there any point in me talking to camera? Don't know. I never really had a clear plan for the ridge board. I think I thought it was going to be a slimmer bit of wood, but now I've decided I'm just going to put a large piece of 2x6 in there. The only thing is, in places, it's going to be too narrow. May not work. So what I need to do is first climb up on the ridge and basically check that all these gaps are big enough. It's slightly perilous. Okay, so that wasn't exactly elegant nor safe. Just got this stretch here which I'm going to measure because I've got to do the same down there. Right, it's the winter solstice, 21/12, 21st December, shortest day of the year. So that means we're going to be getting spring back. And the Australians are going to be losing it. Anyway, so very wet day. Hope it's going to calm down. And you know what? We're ready. We're going to start with the fabric and batons today. Okay, we've got a baton on, or two bits actually. Now that one on top, ignore that, that's loose. That was just there to line things up. So we've got the sheet on. It's a very windy day, of course it is. I mean, it is winter, but I don't half pick them. So this baton here is like the bottom tile's going to go on. So I've got to do a baton right down at the bottom at the ridge. No, not the ridge. I've got to do two batons below that. there's a word for it, I can't remember, but you've basically got to do a small tile at the bottom with a tile on top. You need 2 layers of tiles at the very bottom. It's going to take 3 batons to hold that, so I'm just going to get those measured up, then I can show you what I'm doing. Now, I don't have the nail gun here, and I am going to rehire it. So for now, so nothing's too permanent, I'm just screwing them in at each end. But as I say, I do intend to nail these in properly a bit later on. Now, I'm definitely not ready to tile anything, but I do need to get these measurements. So this shows you how one of the big tiles is going to sit. So those 2 temporary screws show you where the holes are. And it kind of protrudes 5 centimeters, 50 mil at the bottom. Here, that's where there will be a gutter. Okay. Now the one in the middle is, I think it's called a lap tile, base tile. Oh God, we're back to the old purlins and rafters again. I don't know the words, right? But basically, a small tile has got to go in here, underneath here. So it's got to basically be pinned in there, nailed in there, but come to the same level as that. So that will go in roughly like that all the way along. But in order to make that, I'm basically going to cut 2 tiles in half. Now I'm looking at this, I'm thinking there is no way it's going to cut through this. These are pretty thick. Watch this. Well, that's just bloody typical it did that, but it didn't before. As you can see, they do quite effectively. And the other thing they've got is they have got, wait for it, a hole punch. And you convince yourself the whole thing is going to shatter, don't you? But it doesn't, apart from there. This is very loud, but the alternative, this is under a section of Where Have You Been All My Life tools. I'm thinking an angle grinder is going to be a better bet. By the way, look at that. Genuine American hickory Salatus hammer. Right, very important bit now is I've got to take measure from here going up to, and you can see that I've set in a small baton with a tile, and basically I've calculated that's going to be the highest baton that I'm going to do. So the top edge of that sample baton, the top there, to the top edge of this baton here is, well, let's round it, let's just call it 3120 mil. Okay. Right, I've laid these out to explain it to you, the viewer, but also I'm not taking any bloody chances because it's so confusing when you try and visualize this. So take these middle 3, that dotted line, see that there? So that line there lines up with the nail hole on the tile underneath. The baton gauge here for these tiles is basically the distance between those dotted lines, which is how far apart you need to make the batons. And in this case, it is about 23 centimeters. Now, the recommended gauge for these tiles is 22.5. But you can, of course, flex this a little bit depending on how much overlap you want. Now, as mentioned, we need to go 3120 at a gauge of 225. But I doubt very much that 3120 divided by 225 is an even number. I was correct. So what we have to do is turn that into a whole number. So what we need to do basically is do 14 batons rather than 13.8. So this is how we do it. We take our 3120, divide that by 14, which gives me a baton gauge not of 225 but 222.8, 223. Okay, so basically I'm going to set the baton gauge at 223 mil. So what I've created is a bit of a little spacer, which is 223 mil. Well, it's actually minus that because you have to take off the thickness of the baton, and yes, I did forget to do that the first time. The result being, within about a millimetre tolerance, let's say, is that the top of that batten to the top of that would be 223mm each time. Whew, a lot of lugging of stuff. These packs of batons, 10 per pack, all got to be lifted up above. It's just like when I did the mega queue and I had to lift every brick. Get a good workout out of it. Now, a small problem I've got, it's going to have in a lot of different places, particularly near the valleys and a couple of sort of points where I didn't quite get the measurements right, is that these are sitting way off. So basically I'm going to have to, I've cut these, going to have to get some spacers in there. With hindsight, I probably just could have put one baton spanning the whole lot. But anyway, they are at slightly different heights. Right, so here we go. Fabric all on that side. I know it's a bit creased. It won't be. Don't worry. Looking good. Right, we're on the home straight now. Although I nearly fell off the roof a short while ago, so I really do need to be careful. Right, annex section now. So I'm going to do the lower stuff today while it's all wet and greasy, and complete the really high stuff up a bit later on. At some point I've got to put a ridge board in as well. It's annoying. Right, I'm going to show you a bit of technique I use here. This is by no means a how-to video, obviously. So when you're trying to find where to cut these at the end, watch this. Right, now first up, I don't want a really short piece here, so I'm going to cut it to this rafter here. So what I do is I put a big long bit behind here. This is for the height for the way. So there's a height, there's that. And then get the angle grinder. Of course, all I need to do is cut right in the middle of that, assuming that that is lined up on the rafter, which it is. Go right in the middle. Billy Joel, she's always a woman. Not really DIY music, quite nice. I'd like to play this music on the video, but it will cost me a load of licensing. So if you want to put it on in the background, Billy Joel, She's Always a Woman, currently on, for the full, visceral Alex Builds experience. Right, we're all battened up, actually, apart from that top one. Oh, and the top one here. I just want to leave that until I know what I'm doing with the ridge. Should we do a flyby? Let's. Also, it's a bloody lovely day as well. I still need to trim the fabric. I'll just do that as we go along. Let's come round. Here we go, other side of the annex. Ridge all covered. Fiddly back bit. God knows what I'm doing with the valleys. Let's not worry about that. And then this big back one up here. Now, I've still got to. First job I'm going to do is I'm going to tape down the joins. I have got some tape has arrived now. It's amazing when you look at these first batons I did. What a load of crap! Look at that, it's awful. Anyway, I might actually just take those out, these bottom ones, and reset them. Also, because it's where the fabric is at its loosest, which it shouldn't be. So, again, I had the foresight. Or was it a foresight? I don't know. I screwed them in, not nailed them, so I can easily get them out. There you go. Looking good.
Right, that has gone pretty well. Plenty to look forward to in the next episode, because we are actually going to finish the roof, and that's going to involve a lot of slate and a bit of lead.
Now, in the meantime, if you haven't already seen it, I did do another project over the summer and I actually finished it. So there's 3 episodes of my outdoor kitchen, also known as the Mega Q, with the usual array of cock-ups, including, but not limited to this.
What an idiot.
Or if you're new to the channel, you got this far, of course, there's about 32 episodes before this, so you can go right back to the beginning and catch up on the barn. But in any case, thanks for watching, and if you could give the video a like or subscribe, and if you leave me a comment, remember to tell me where you're from, you might get on the map. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.